I have a 19-year-old daughter who's a sophomore at Texas Tech University up in Lubbock. So one of my concerns is always sex trafficking. My husband and I have been concerned about that since she left for college. Lubbock does have a very high risk of sex trafficking, maybe because it's just mainly a college town or because it's in the middle of nowhere. I'm not really sure why it's got such a high concentrate, but it does scare us. My name is Lori, and today we are going to talk about human sex trafficking. First, we are going to talk about who is affected by sex trafficking. Secondly, we're going to talk about how traffickers actually find their victims. And thirdly, we are going to talk about the effects that the victims have, long-term or even short-term. According to the CDC, in 2018, there were 3,718 reported cases of sex trafficking in the United States. California leads the country with 1,656 reported cases, followed by Michigan at 383 and Georgia with 375. Now, that does not mean that the rest of the states don't have any. Those are just the highest concentrated volumes in those states. Texas was not far behind those, which is very scary since that's the state that I live in and that my college daughter attends school in. While 70% are women and girls, there are also men and boys that are victims as well. As a hairdresser, we now have to have a sign posted in the state of Texas for sure, and I do believe in several other states, that if you suspect or you're a victim of sex trafficking, there's a number on there for you to call, and we'll get that towards the end. In the United States, though, anyone who is under 18 and practicing in the selling of sex is considered a sex trafficking victim. Here in the United States, we do call it prostitution, but the federal government refers to it as sex trafficking. There are bigger and more important prosecution ways to prosecute these people with the sex trafficking versus prostitution, so I think that's why they lean towards that. Sadly, it is definitely more prevalent right now because there's a market for it. There's the black and dark web that people trade pictures and I guess post things that they are looking for in young girls, women, and men. Very sad that there are people like that in our society. Victims are typically found on social media. They're found in clubs and bars, also at schools, whether it's a high school, junior high, college. They're found pretty much anywhere. The sex traffickers obviously look for people who maybe have a low self-esteem or who are sad in a club. Anything where they feel like they can manipulate easily. They're lured to these sex traffickers with promises of love and money and adventures and even protection. So if they do come from a broken home or an abusive household, or let's say a sexually abusive father, they prey on that. The sex traffickers do. They promise protection, that he'll never do it to you again, come with me. Sadly, there are lots of reported cases of people posing as a potential boyfriend, and then once they get you where they want you, they say, well, if you love me, you will X, Y, and Z with X, Y, and Z. That is very sad, especially for girls maybe with a low self-esteem or, bad ego or anything like that. They also use force, threats, lies, and other psychological coercions, like they will hurt another member of the family, especially a younger sister, a mother, anything like that, which is very, very sad. Some of the effects on the victims mentally, they suffer from PTSD, depression, anxiety, which you can get therapy for, but you never truly would get over such a thing. Also, very embarrassed and lots of shame with that. Physically, when you are in that situation, you're being physically abused, starvation, and just pure exhaustion. Worse than that, a lot of the sex trafficked victims have STDs, including HIV and AIDS. very, very, very scary. The government is trying to crack down on this. Many of the agencies that are involved are like the Department of Justice, the Department of the Treasury, Department of State, Department of Health and Human Services, among many others. So today I hope that you learned who is affected by sex trafficking, how they are lured into sex trafficking, and the effects on victims. Also, I want to tell you who to contact if you suspect. If you or anyone you know is being sex trafficked, please reach out and call 1-888-373-788. Or you can even text help or info to 233-733. You can lastly email the National Human Traffic Resource Center at nhtrc@polarisproject.org. Be aware of your surroundings, definitely watch your drinks, and never trust anyone. I've taught my daughter that if it seems too good to be true, then it probably is. Thank you.